स्क्रीन शेयर कर लो, इसमें वो आप गूगल वाले
ये तो आ तो रहा है, ये वाला करना है ना, आ तो गया है। Today, in the subject of the global logistics and the warehouse management, we are talking about the quality management integration in the case of the warehouses management. Yesterday, we have discussed the Deming's approach for the quality management integration. Today, we'll discuss about the Juran's approach to the quality management integration. Quality management integration is the system of the activity directed at achieving delighted customers, empowered employee, higher revenue, and the lower cost. Juran believed that the main quality problems are due to the management rather than workers. The attainment of the quality requires activities in all functions of a firm. Firm-wide assessment of the quality, supplier quality management using statistical method, quality information system, and competitive benchmarking are essential to the quality improvement. Juran's approach is emphasis on the team quality circle and the self-managing team and the project work, which can promote quality improvement, quality communication between the management and employee coordination, and improve coordination between employee. He also emphasized the importance of the top management commitment and empowerment, participation, recognition, and the rewards. According to Juran, Juran is the world guru in the case of the quality management integration. It is very important to understand the customer needs. What are the customer needs are there? At first, understand the customer needs. This requirement applies to the all involved in the marketing, design, manufacture, and the services. Identifying the customer needs require more vigorous analysis and understanding to ensure the product meet customers' need is fit for its intended use. Not just meeting product specification, Thus, market research is essential for identifying the customer needs. In order to ensure design quality, he proposed the use of the technique, including the quality function deployment, experimental design, reliability engineering, and concurrent engineering. Juran considered quality management as the three basic process: quality control, quality improvement, and the quality planning. This is known as the trilogy of the Juran. In his view, the approach of the managing of the quality consists of the sporadic problem is detected and acted upon by the process of the quality control. The chronic problem requires a different process, namely quality improvement. Such chronic problems are traceable to an inadequate quality planning process. Juran defined a universal sequence of activity for three quality process, which is listed in the table. This is the quality planning, quality control, and the quality improvement universal process for the managing of the quality by the emphasis of the Juran. Juran defined four broad categories of the quality cost, which can be used to evaluate the firm's cost related to the quality. Such information is valuable to the quality improvement. The four quality costs are listed as internal failure cost, which is known as the scrap, rework, failure analysis, associated with defects found prior to the transfer of the product to the customer. External failure cost, warranty charges, complaint adjustment, return material allowances, etc., associated with the defects found after product is shipped to the customer. Appraisal cost, which is include incoming cost, in-process cost, and final inspection and the testing cost. Product quality audits, maintaining accuracy of the testing equipment, etc., incurred in determining the degree of the conformance to the quality requirement. Prevention cost, which include the quality planning, new product review, quality audits, supplier quality evaluation, training, etc., incurred in the keeping failure and appraisal cost to a minimum. Crosby's approach to the quality management integration. Crosby identified a number of the important principles and practices for the successful quality improvement program, which include, for example, of the management participation, management responsibility for quality, employee recognition, education, and reduction of the cost of the quality, prevention cost, appraisal cost, and the failure cost. Emphasis on the prevention rather than after the event inspection, doing things right the first time, and zero defect. Crosby claimed that the mistakes are caused by the two reasons: lack of the knowledge, lack of the attention. Education and training can eliminate the first cause, and personal commitment to the excellence, zero defects, and attention to detail will cure the second. Crosby also states the importance of the management style to successful quality improvement. The key to the quality improvement is to change the thinking of the top managers to get them not to accept mistakes and the defects, as this would in turn reduce the work expectation and standards in their job. Understanding, commitment, and communication are all essential. Crosby presented the quality management maturity grid, which can be used by firms to evaluate their quality management maturity. The 5 stages are uncertainty, awakening, enlightenment, wisdom, and certainty. These stages can be used to assess progress in a number of the measurement categories, such as a management understanding and attitude, quality organization status, problem handling, cost of the quality as percentage of the sales, summation of the firm, quality posture. The quality management maturity grid and cost of the quality measure are the main tools for the manager to evaluate their quality status. Crosby offered 14-step program that can guide a firm in the quality improvement. These steps are the listed below. Management commitment, to make it clear where management stands on quality. Quality improvement team to run the quality improvement program. Quality measurement, to provide a display of the current and potential non-conformance problem in a manner that permits objective evaluation and the corrective action. Cost of the quality, to define the ingredients of the cost of the quality and explain its use as a management tool. Quality awareness, to provide a method of raising the personal concern felt by all personnel in the company toward the conformance of the product or service and the quality reputation of the company. Corrective action, to provide a systematic method of resolving forever the problems that are identical through previous action stage. Zero defect planning, to investigate the various activity that must be conducted in preparation for formally launching the zero defects program. Supervisor training, to define the type of the training that supervisor need in order to actively carry out their part of the quality improvement program. Zero defect day, to create an event that will make all employees realizable through a personal experience that there was a change. Goal setting, to turn pledges and commitment into action by encouraging individuals to establish improvement goals for themselves and their groups. Error casual removal, to give the individual employee a method of communicating to the management the situation that makes it difficult for the employee to meet the pledge to improve. Recognition, to appreciate those with participate. Quality council, to bring together the personal quality people for planned communication on a regular basis. Do it for again, to emphasize that the quality improvement program never ends. Similarly, FAC1 approach to the quality management integration. FAC1, one of the quality group of the world, defined quality management integration as effective system for integrating the quality development, quality maintenance, and the quality improvement efforts for the various groups in a firm so as to enable marketing, engineering, production, and service at the most economical level, which allow for full customer satisfaction. He claimed that the effective quality management consists of the four main stages described as follows: setting quality standard, appraising conformance to these standards, acting when standards are not met, planning for improvement in these standards. The quality chain here good starts with the identification of all customer requirement and ends only when the product or service is delivered to the customer, who remain satisfied. Thus, all functional activity such as marketing, design, purchasing, manufacturing, inspection, and shipping, installation, service, etc., are involved and influence the attainment of the quality. Identifying customer requirement is a fundamental initial point for the achieving quality. He claimed that the effective quality management integration requires a high degree of the effective functional integration among the people, machines, and information, stressing a system approach to the quality. A clear defined total quality system is a powerful foundation for the quality management integration. Total quality system is defined as follows: the agreed firm-wide operating work structure documented in effective integrated technical and the managerial procedure for guiding the coordinated action of the people, the machines, and the information of the firm in the best and the most practical ways to assume customer quality satisfaction and economical cost of the quality. Fact 1 emphasized that the efforts should be made toward the prevention of the poor quality rather than detecting it after the event. He argued that the quality is an integral part of the day-to-day work of the line, staff, and operative of a firm. There are two factors affecting the product quality: the technological, that is machines, materials, and process, and the humans, that is the operators, foremen, and other firm personnel. Of these two factors, the human is of the greater importance by far. Fact 1 considered top management commitment, employee participation, supplier quality management, information system, evaluation, communication, use of the quality cost, use of the statistical technology to be an essential component of the quality management integration. He argued that the employees should be rewarded for their quality improvement suggestion. Quality is everybody's job. He stated that the effective employee training and education should focus on the following three main aspects: quality attitudes, quality knowledge, and the quality skills. Similarly, the another world guru, Ishikawa, approach to the quality management integration. Ishikawa argued that the quality management extends beyond the product and encompasses after sales service. The quality of the management, the quality of the individual, and the firm itself. He claimed that the success of a firm is highly dependent on treating quality improvement as a never-ending quest. A commitment to the continuous improvement can ensure that people will never stop learning. He adopted employee participation as the key to the successful implementation. Quality circle, he believed, are an important vehicle to achieve this. Like all other gurus, he emphasized the importance of the education, stating the quality begins and ends with it. He has been the associate with the development and advocacy of the universal education in the 7 quality control tools. These tools are listed below: Pareto chart, cause and effect diagram, which is known as the Ishikawa diagram, stratification chart, scatter diagram, check set, and histogram, and the control chart. Ishikawa suggested that the assessment of the customer requirement served as a tool for the foster of the cross-functional cooperation. Selecting supplier should be on the basis of the quality rather than solely on price. Cross-functional teams are effective way for identifying and solving quality problems. Ishikawa's concept of the quality management integration contains the following 6 fundamental principles. Quality first, not short-term profit first. Customer orientation, not producer orientation. The next step is your customer breaking down the barrier of the sectionalism. Using facts and data, make presentation, utilization and statistical method. Respect for humanity as a management philosophy. Full participatory management, cross-functional management. The results from the quality group. After the approaches of the all quality group for the quality management integration, what are the results which are stated here? After the approaches to the quality management integration of the 5 quality group have been reviewed, it has become evident that SACH has its own distinctive approach. Nevertheless, the principles and practices of the quality management integration proposed by these quality group do provide the author with a better understanding of the concept of the quality management integration. Their insight offer a solid foundation for conducting this study. Although their approaches to the quality management integration are not totally the same, they do share some common points which are summarized as follows. It is management's responsibility to provide commitment, leadership, empowerment, encouragement, and the appropriate support to the technical and the human resources. It is the top management's responsibility to determine the environment and framework of operation within a firm. It is imperative that the management foster the participation of the employee in the quality improvement and develops a quality culture by changing perception and attitude towards the quality. The strategy, policy, and firm-wide evaluation activity are emphasized. The importance of the employee education and training is emphasized in changing the employee beliefs, behavior, and attitude, enhancing employee ability in carrying out their duty. Employees should be recognized and rewarded for their quality improvement efforts. It is very important to control the processes and improve quality system and the product design. The emphasis is on the prevention of the product defects, not inspection after the event. Quality is a systematic firm-wide activity from supplier to customer. All functional activity such as marketing, design, engineering, purchasing, manufacturing, inspection, shipping, accounting, installation, and service should be involved in quality improvement efforts. Review of the quality award models. Worldwide, there are several quality awards, such as a Deming Prize in Japan, European Quality Award in the Europe, the Malcolm Burbidge Quality Award in the United States of America. The broad of the aim of these awards are described as follows. These are related with the different quality awards and the integration of the quality management integration related to them. The broad aim of these awards are described as follows. Increase awareness of the quality management integration because of its important contribution to the superior competitiveness. Encourage systematic self-assessment against established criteria and market awareness simultaneously. Stimulate sharing and dissemination of information on successfully deployed quality strategy and on benefits derived from implementing these strategies. Promote understanding of the requirement for the attainment of the quality excellence and successful deployment of the quality management integration. Encourage firm to introduce a continuous improvement process. Each award model is based on a perceived model of the quality management integration. The award model don't focus solely on either product or the service perfection or traditional quality management methods, but consider a wide range of the management activity, behavior, and processes that influence the quality of the final offering. They provide a useful audit framework against which firm can evaluate their quality management integration implementation practices, seek improvement opportunity, and the end result. The Deming Prize. The Deming Prize was established by the board of the director of the Japanese Union of the Scientists of the Engineer in the 1951. Its main purpose is to spread the quality gospel by recognizing performance improvement flowing from the successful implementation of firm-wide quality control based on a statistical quality control technique. The Deming Prize proved an effective instrument for spreading quality management integration philosophy throughout the Japanese industry. There are 10 primary elements in the Deming Application Prize, as well as a checklist that is used to evaluate the performance of the senior activity. This checklist emphasizes the importance of the top management's active participation in the quality management activity and understanding of the main requirement of the quality improvement program. It also provides senior executive with a list of what they need to do. The primary elements in the Deming Application Prize and the checklist used to evaluate senior executive are listed below. Policy. Quality and quality control policy and their place in overall business management. Clarity of the policy, method, and processes for establishing policy. Relationship of the policy to long and short-term plans. Communication of the policy and grasp management of achieving policy. Executives and managers' leadership. Organization. Appropriateness of the organizational structure for quality control and status of the employee involvement. Clarity of the authority and the responsibility. Status of the interdepartmental coordination. Status of committee and project team activity. Status of the staff activity. Relationship with the associated company, group company, vendors, contractors, sales companies, etc. Information. Appropriate of the collecting and communicating external information. Appropriateness of collecting and collecting internal information. Status of applying statistical technique to the data analysis. Appropriate of the information retention. Status of the utilizing information. Status of utilizing computers for the data processing. Standardization. Appropriate of the system of the spenders. Procedures for establishing revising and establishing standards. Actual performance in establishing, revising, and establishing standards, content of the standards, status of utilizing and adhering to the standards, status of systematically developing, accumulating, handing down, and utilizing technology, human resources, education and training plan and their development and results utilization, status of the quality consciousness of the managing job and the understanding of the quality control, status of supporting and motivating self-development and self-realization, status of understanding and utilizing statistical concept and the methods, status of the quality control circle development and improvement suggestion, status of supporting the development of the human resources in associated company, quality assurance, status of managing the quality assurance activity system, status of the quality control diagnosis, status of the new product technology development, status of the process control, status of the process analysis and process improvement, status of inspection, quality evaluation, and the quality audit, status of managing production equipment, measuring instrument, and the vendors, status of the packaging, storage, transportation, sales, and the service activity, grasping and responding to the product usage, disposal, recovery, and recycle, status of the quality assurance, grasping of the status of the customer satisfaction, status of assuring reliability, safety, product liability, and environment protection, maintenance, rotation of the management, PDCA cycle control activity, methods for determining control items and their levels, in control situation, status of utilizing control chart and other tools, status of taking temporary and permanent measures, status of operating measurement system for cost, quantity, and delivery, relationship of the quality assurance system to other operating management system, improvement, method of the selecting the themes, important activity, problems, and the priority issue, linkage of the analytical methods and intrinsic technology, status of utilizing statistical method for the analysis, utilization of the analysis result, status of confirming improvement result and transforming them to maintenance control activity, continuation of the quality circle activity, effects, tangible effects such as the quality, delivery, cost, profit, safety, and improvement, intangible effects, method for measuring the grasping the effects, customer satisfaction and the employee satisfaction, influence on the associated company, influence on local and international community, future plan, status of grasping current situation, future plan for improving problem, projections of changes in social environment and customer requirement, and future plan based on these projected changes, relationship among the management philosophy, vision, long-term plan, continuity of the quality control activity, correctness of the future plan. The checklist used to evaluate the performance of the senior executive is listed as follows. Understanding, are the objectives of the quality control and enthusiasm, introduction, and promotion clearly defined and well understood? How well do they understand quality control, quality assurance, reliability, product liability, etc.? How will they understand the importance of the statistical way of thinking and the application of the quality control techniques? How well do they understand quality circle activity? How well do they understand the relationship of the quality control and the concept and methods of the other management activity? How enthusiastic are they on promoting quality control? How well are they exercising leadership? How well do they understand the status and characteristics of their company's quality and the quality control? Policies. How are the quality policy and quality control policy established? These will be helpful for the quality management integration. Where and how these policies stand in relation to the overall business management? How are these policies related to the short and long-term plan? How are these policies deployed throughout the company for their achievement? How do they grasp the status of the policy achievement? Are they taking appropriate corrective actions when needed? How do they grasp priority quality issues? Do they make effective use of the diagnostic method, such as a top management diagnosis? How well are targets and priority measures aligned with the policy? What kind of the policy do they employ for establishing cooperative relationship with the associated company? Organization, how is the company organized and managed so that the human resources can effectively and efficiently practice quality control? How are the authority and responsibility in the organization established? Is the allocation of the human resource suitable for the organization? How do they strive to make employee happy and satisfied? How do they grasp and evaluate employees' capability and motivation level? How do they strive for the interdepartment cooperation? How do they utilize committees and project teams? How do they relate to the associated company? Human resources. How clear is the philosophy of the hiring, developing, and utilizing human resources? How prepared are the employee education and training plan? Are the necessary budget and the time allocated? How do they communicate the policy for the quality control education and training? How they grasp the status of achieving their policy? How do they provide education and training specific to the company's business needs? How well do they understand the importance of the employee self-mutual development? How do they support this effort? How do they strive to develop quality circle activity? How interested are they in developing human resource in the associated company? Implementation. What kind of the measures do they have for the evaluation and effective and efficient implementation of the quality control? How well is the overall coordination of the quality control and other management system? How do they grasp the status of the improvement in the business process and the individual steps of these processes so as to provide products, services that satisfy the customer need? Are they asking necessary corrective action? How well are the system for developing the new product and the services, new technology, new market established and managed? How well are the necessary resources secured and allocated for establishing and operating management information system? How do they grasp the effects and the contribution of the quality control to the improvement of the business performance? How do they evaluate their employees' efforts? Corporate social. Is the company structured to ensure appropriate profits for a long time? How well do they regard employee well-being, wage level, working hours, etc.? How well do they regard employee self-realization? How will they strive for the coexistence, co-prosperity with the associated company? How well does the company contribute to the local community? How well does the company exert effort to protect the environment? How well does the company positively impact the international community? Future visions. How do they assure the continuity and future plan for the quality control? How do they anticipate the cope with the changes in the surrounding business, environment, and progress in science and technology? How do they grasp and cope with the changes in the customer requirement? How do they consider their employee and help them achieve happiness and the satisfaction? How do they consider and manage relationship with the associated company? How do they plan for the future to cope with the item with the above? How do they utilize quality control to achieve the future plan? The European model for the quality management integration. The European Quality Award for the officially launched in the 1991. The primary purpose of the award is to support, encourage, and recognize the development of the effective quality management integration by the European firm. The model of the European Quality Award is divided into two parts, enabler and results. The enabler are the leadership, people management, policy, strategy, resources, and processes. These five aspects steer the business and facilitate the transformation of input to the output. The results are the people satisfaction, customer satisfaction, impact on society, and business results. The European Quality Award model consists of the 9 primary elements, which are further divided into a number of the secondary elements. The primary and secondary elements are listed below. Leadership. visible involvement in the leading total quality, a consistent total quality culture, timely recognition and appreciation of the effects and successful of the individuals and the team, support of the total quality by the provision of the appropriate resources and assistance, involvement with the customers and the supplier, active promotion of the total quality outside the organization. Policy and strategy. How policy and strategy are based on the concept of the total quality. How policy and strategy are formed on the basis of the information that is relevant to the total quality. How policy and strategy are the basis for the business plan. How policy and strategy are communicated. How policy and strategy are regularly reviewed and improved. People in management. How continuous improvement in people management is accomplished. How the skills and capability of the people are preserved and developed through the recruitment, training, and the career progression. How people and teams agree on targets and continuously review performance. How the involvement of the everyone in continuous improvement is promoted and people are empowered to take appropriate action. How effective top-down and bottom-up communication is achieved. Resources, financial resources, information resources, material resources, and the fixed assets. The application of the technology. Processes, how process critical to the success of the business are identified. How the organization systematically manage its processes. How process performance measurement along with all the relevant feedback and used to review process and to set target for the improvement. How the organization stimulates innovation and creativity in process improvement. How the organization implement process changes and evaluate the benefits. Customer satisfaction, people satisfaction, impact on society, business results. The Malcolm Bridge National Quality Award. In 1987, the US Congress passed the Malcolm Bridge National Quality Improvement Act and thus established an annual quality award in the US. Thus, aim of the award is to encourage American firms to improve quality, satisfy customer, and improve overall firm performance and capability. The model framework can be used to assess firms' current quality management practices, benchmark performance against key competitors and the world-class standard, and improve relationship with the supplier and the customer. The Malcolm Bridge National Quality Award model framework is listed as follows. Leadership, organizational leadership, public responsibility and citizenship, strategic planning, strategy development, strategy deployment, customer and market focus, customer and market knowledge, customer satisfaction and relationship, information and analysis, measurement of the organizational performance, analysis of the organizational performance. Human resource system, work system, employee education, training and the development, employee well-being and the satisfaction. Process management, product and service processes, support processes, supplier and partnering processes, business results, customer focused results, financial and the market results, human resource results, supplier and partner results, organizational effective results. Result from the quality awards. The 3 quality awards model provide a universal framework for evaluating the aspects of the quality management. Integration, practice in a firm. They also provide a framework for identifying a range of the intangible, tangible process that influence the firm's quality management, integration, implementation, and the end result. Although each award has its one unique category and emphasis, they are the 2 common areas. Each award model has 2 parts. One is the quality management integration implementation. The other is the overall business results. Quality management integration implementation make overall business results happen. All 3 award models emphasize the importance of leadership, human resource management, employee participation, employee education and training, process management, strategy and policy, information, supplier quality management, and the customer focus. The 3 quality award models provide firms with a means to measure their position against a set of the universal criteria and to identify their strength, weakness in the area of the quality management practices and the business result. These models provide an insight into practical way to applying the quality management integration, as well as a solid foundation for the research, and give the author a better understanding of the concept of the quality management integration. According to Hackman and Wegman, it is safe to assume that the Bulbridge Award winners actually have implemented the full quality management integration package. Based on their statement, it can be assumed that the 3 award winners have fully implemented quality management integration. Review of the other research. Worldwide, much research has been conducted in the field of the quality management integration implementation. After a review of the relevant quality management integration literature, it has been found that the different researchers adopted different quality management integration definition and framework based on their understanding of the quality management integration and the research objective. Consequently, there is less consensus on what quality management integration is and what constitutes it. Quality management integration can be defined as a set of the technique and procedure used to reduce, eliminate variation from a production process or the service delivery system in order to improve efficiency, reliability, and the quality. It integrates fundamental management technique, existing improvement efforts, and the technical tools under a disciplined approach focused on the continuous improvement. According to Kanji and Esser, quality management integration is a continuous process of the improvement for the individual, group of the people, and whole firm. It encompasses a set of the 4 principles: delight the customer, management by the fact, people-based management, and continuous improvement. And 8 core concepts: customer satisfaction, internal customers are real, all work is process, measurement, teamwork, people make quality, continuous improvement cycle, and prevention. Quality management integration can also be defined as the application of the quality principle for the integration of all function and process within the firm. There is another definition of the quality management integration, which is a management approach for an organization centered on quality, based on the participation of all its members, aiming at the long-term success through the customer satisfaction and benefits to all members of the organization and to society. Finally, TPL defined quality management integration as an integrated approach to achieving and sustaining high-quality output, focusing on the maintenance and continuous improvement of processes and defect prevention at all levels and in all functions of the firm, in order to exceed customer expectation. According to Hu and Feng, quality management integration is a way of managing to improve the effectiveness, flexibility, and competitiveness of a business as a whole. It is also a method of removing the waste by involving everyone in improving the way things are done. According to the Value PETL, quality management integration is an integrative philosophy of the management for continuously improving the quality of the products and process to achieve customer satisfaction. Hackman and Wegman systematically reviewed the 3 quality groups, Deming, Juran, and Nishikawa, for position about quality management integration. According to their reviewers, the following 5 interventions are the core quality management integration: explicit identification and measurement of the customer wants and the needs, creation of the supplier partnership, use of the functional team to identify and solve quality problems, use of the scientific method to monitor performance and identify points of the higher leverage of the performance improvement, use of the process management heuristic to enhance team effectiveness. Dean and Bowen define quality management integration as a philosophy or approach to management that can be characterized by its principles, practices, and the technique. Its three principles are customer focus, continuous improvement, and the teamwork. Each principle is implemented through a set of the practices which are simply activity such as a collecting customer information or analyzing process. The practices are in turn supported by a wide variety of the techniques. Chai and Isag study the quality management integration paradox using the management of process quality, human resource management, strategy quality planning, and information analysis as the construct of the quality management integration implementation. Black and Porter identified 10 critical factors of the quality management integration: people and customer management, supplier partnership, communication of the improvement information, customer satisfaction, external interface management, strategic quality management, teamwork structure for improvement, operational quality planning, quality improvement, measurement system, and corporate quality culture. In Paulwell 1995 study, the following elements were identified as the quality management integration framework: executive commitment, adopting the philosophy closer to the customer, closer to the supplier, benchmarking, training, open organization, employee empowerment, zero defect mentality, flexible manufacturing, process improvement, and the measurement. Howe and Fung identified 10 quality management integration elements: leadership, commitment, total customer satisfaction, continuous improvement, total involvement, training and education, ownership, leadership and recognition, error prevention, and the cooperation in the teamwork. Waldman identified 8 key quality management integration elements: top management commitment to the place the quality as a top priority, a broad definition of the quality as the meeting customers' expectation, quality management integration values and the vision, the development of the quality culture, involvement and empowerment of the all organization members in the corporate efforts to achieve quality improvement, and orientation toward managing by the fact, the commitment to the continuously improve employees' capability and work processes through the training and benchmarking, attempts to get the external suppliers and the customers involved in quality management efforts. Mann and Coe divided quality management integration into 10 elements. They are supplier improvement, process control, improvement, internal customer focus, measurement and reporting, leadership, quality system, participation, recognition, education and training, external customer focus. Although much research has been conducted in the field of the quality management integration implementation, no universally accepted quality management integration definition or elements presently exist. Actually, researchers have different idea about the quality management integration concept and element. However, most agree that the quality management integration is a philosophy for approach to the management focusing on the continuous improvement, customer focus, systematic process management, supplier partnership, and the teamwork. The implementation of such a management philosophy requires a set of the practices. Quality management integration. The definition of the quality management integration. Before the concept of the quality management integration is defined, it is necessary to define the concept of the quality management. According to the ISO, quality management can be defined as follows: all activity of the overall management function that determine the quality policy, objectives, and responsibility and implement them by means such as a quality planning, quality control, quality assurance, and the quality improvement within the quality system. The extensive quality management integration literature review suggests that the quality management integration encompasses a vast spectrum of the topics and perspective. In the field of the quality management integration implementation, there are 3 commonly referenced articles by the Scharfe et al., Feynman et al., and Ariha et al., respectively. Ariha et al. strongly recommend that a combination of the 3 frameworks be undertaken for future resource on the quality management integration. In fact, the present study followed this suggestion, attempting to integrate their quality management integration construct as much as possible. Table lists the 11 quality management integration element in this study and the quality management integration elements in their framework. The two elements, product quality and supplier performance, in the ADHERE framework are not included in this framework since they represented quality management integration outcome. Role of the quality department in the SURF-LTL framework are excluded in this framework since every department in an organization was involved in quality management. Benchmarking and internal quality information usage in the ADHERE framework were similar with the element of the elevation in this study. Process control and cleanliness and organization framework were relatively the same as element as the process control and improvement adopted in this study. The study included two more elements: quality system improvement, vision, and the plan statement, which were not found in their framework. Therefore, this quality management integration concept covers a broad scope of the quality management integration in comparison with their framework in this study. Quality management integration is defined as follows: a management philosophy for continuously improving overall business performance based on the leadership, supplier quality management, vision and plan statement, evaluation, process control and improvement, product design, quality system improvement, employee participation, recognition and award, education and training, and customer focus. The framework is given here: leadership, supplier quality management, vision and the plan statement, evaluation, process control, product design, quality system improvement, employee participation, recognition and reward, education and training, customer focus. SARA-ATL framework: role of the divisional top management and quality policy, role of the quality department, training, product service design, supplier quality management, process management, quality data and reporting, employee relationship. FLAN-ATL framework: quality leadership, quality improvement rewards, process control, feedback, cleanliness and organization, new product quality, interfunctional design process, selection for the team work potential, teamwork, supplier relationship, customer involvement. AHERE-ATL framework: top management commitment, customer focus, supplier quality management, design quality management, benchmarking, SPC usage, internal quality information, employee empowerment, employee involvement, employee training, product quality, and supplier performance. Thus, quality management integration consists of the 11 constructs. To implement quality management integration is merely to implement these constructs, which occurs through a set of the practices such as using certain quality tools or the technique. Figure 2.1 displays the decomposition of the quality management integration. A decomposition model of the quality management integration model. There are practices that can support the implementation of each of the 11 constructs. The conceptual definition of the construct and the practices that support their implementation are presented in the following subsection. Quality management integration, 11 quality management integration construct, implementing a set of the practices. Quality management integration construct. Leadership. Leadership is the ability to inspire confidence and support among these needed to achieve organization goal. Anderson-ATL explained the concept of the leadership, the ability of the top management to establish practice and lead a long-term vision for the firm, driven by the changing customer requirement, as proposed to an internal management role. Leadership is thus exemplified by clarity of the vision, long-term orientation, coaching management cycle, participative change, employee empowerment, and planning and implementing organization change. According to Juran and Guerra, certain roles of the top management can be identified as establish quality policy, establish and deploy quality goals, provide resources, provide problem-oriented training, and stimulate improvement. The European Quality Award and the Malcolm Bridge Quality Award recognize the crucial role of leadership in creating the goal, value, and system that guide the pursuit of continuous performance improvement. Recognition of the critical role of the leadership and its responsibility in pursuit of the continuous quality improvement echoes the argument put forward by quality guru such as the Deming, Juran, Crosby. Thus, concept of the leadership in this study can be defined as the ability of the top management to lead the firm in continuously pursuing long-term overall business success. This is exemplified by the top management participation, top management encouragement, employee empowerment, top management learning, top management commitment to the employee education and training, and top management pursuit of the product quality and long-term business success. A predominant theme in the quality management literature is that the strong commitment for the top management is the vital. The foundation of the effective leadership effort is the top commitment. Demonstrating such commitment is therefore a primary leadership principle for achieving quality management integration. Lack of the top management commitment is one of the reasons for the failure of the quality management integration effort. However, top management commitment itself is not sufficient. It is more important that top management personally participate in various quality management activities. Furthermore, it should strongly encourage employee involvement in quality management activity. According to the Durin, an important leadership practice is to encourage people to assess the level of the quality. To be an effective leader in most modern firms, the top manager must continue to develop and learn. Knowledge of the business and the continual learning are essential prerequisites to effective leadership. The extensive literature review suggested that if leadership want to create organizational culture that will themselves be more amenable to learning, they must set the example by becoming learning themselves and involving others in the learning process. Thus, a learning organization will be established. Empowerment is the process of the delegating decision-making authority to lower levels within the firm. Particularly dramatic is empowerment of the workforce, which is valuable because it may release creative energy. In order to effectively lead the firm, top management must empower employees to solve the problem they encounter. Thus, employees can have the authority to fix problems and prevent their further occurrence. In order to effectively lead the firm, top management must be committed to providing sufficient resources for the employee education and the training, building trustful relationship with the employee, and regarding them as the valuable resources of the firm. Top management must be committed to allocating sufficient resources to prevent as well as repair quality problems. Top management should discuss quality frequently, for example, by giving speeches on the topic and asking questions about quality at every staff meeting. In fact, people make things happen. Therefore, top management must train coaches employees to analyze and improve work process. The study conducted by the Gravin suggested the high level of the quality performance were always accomplished by the organizational commitment to the goal. High product quality did not exist without a strong top management. Many such empirical studies have also found that top management support for the quality was a key factor in the quality improvement. Therefore, it is essential that top management focus on the product quality rather than yields alone. More importantly, it is critical for the firm to pursue long-term business success. Pursuing short-term business success places quality behind the yield cost and meeting delivery schedules according to this study. Supplier quality management. Supplier quality management can be defined as the set of the supplier-related quality management practices for improving supplier quality of the products and services. This is exemplified by the firm-supplier partnership, product quality as the criterion for the supplier selection, partnership in the suppliers, communication with the supplier, understanding of the supplier performance, and the supplier quality audit. In modern industrial production, the interdependence of the buyers supplier has increased dramatically. The suppliers becomes an extension of the buyer's organization to a certain extent. A revolution in the relationship between buyers and supplier has emerged in the form of the supplier partnership. According to the review by the Heckman, developing partnership with the supplier is one of the major quality management integration implementation practices. The extensive literature by the Anderson indicated the external cooperation between a firm and its supplier has merits in the just-in-time purchasing system. Working collaboratively with suppliers on a long-term basis is truly beneficial. Deming strongly recommended working with the supplier as a partner in long-term relationship of loyalty and trust to improve the quality of the incoming material and decrease the cost. A long-term relationship between the purchaser and supplier is necessary for the best economy. Deming and Ishikawa suggested that firms select their supplier on the basis of the quality rather than solely on the price. Deming price has no meaning without a measure of the quality being purchased. Without adequate measures of the quality, business drift to the lower bidder, low quality and high cost being the inevitable result. The firm must change its focus from the lowest initial cost of the material purchase to the lower total cost. Firms should try to minimize every total cost for the inspection of the incoming material. According to Juran and Grian, it is an effective practice to optimize quality cost when a purchasing decision is made. To the purchasing price, the buyer must add a whole arrow of the quality related cost: incoming inspection, material review, production delays, determine extra inventory, internal failure cost, and external failure cost. The lowest purchasing price does not always result in the lowest total cost. Deming and Ishikawa recommended that the firm work directly with supplier to ensure that their materials are of the highest possible quality. Firms should participate directly in the supplier activity related to the quality, such as the supplier improvement project and the supplier training. Evaluating supplier is an important activity to ensure the dependable high quality of the incoming material in the firm. Supplier rating is a technique to provide the supplier assessment. Each supplier is measured against another specific supplier for the group of supplier for price, quality, and delivery and other important performance measures. Supplier performance rating involves objective appraisal of one supplier's performance, which can feedback to that supplier. In the case of the poor quality situation, such information can be used by the supplier to formulate the corrective action. Supplier quality rating also provides a quantitative summary of the supplier quality over a period of the time. Incoming material control is very important for the supplier quality management. Specification and standard should be established as criteria for acceptance of the raw materials, part, and component. Techniques such as acceptance, sampling inspection, and 100% inspection can be used to provide acceptance at most economical level. These are the theory of the quality management integration. Firms need to have a detailed information about the supplier quality information, such as a drawing, specification, and other necessary data. It is also very important to establish the supplier information feedback system, which can be used for giving feedback to supplier about their product performance. Such information may be used to further improving supplier performance. A purchasing system includes three key activities: specification of the requirement, selection of the supplier, and contract management. The overall quality objective is to meet the need of the firm with a minimum of the incoming inspection or later corrective action. Supplier quality audit is an organized evaluation of the supplier capability to furnish material of the necessary quality, and the quantity is an important basis for the supplier selection and ongoing supplier quality surveillance. Surveillance can be taken several forms: inspection of the product, meeting with the suppliers to review quality status, audit of the elements of the supplier, review of the SPC data, and witnessing of the specific operation. What one firm buys from another is not just material. It buys something more important, namely engineering and the capability. Vision and the plan statement. Vision and the plan statement. A vision statement describe how a firm wants to be seen in the chosen in the business. These are about the quality management integration. That process control and improvement. This is not in your syllabus. The quality management integration shows about the concept of the quality guru and the all quality gurus philosophy and different quality awards. This is related to the quality management integration in a firm. Right? Next one is the world-class warehousing of the session 15. Here is a brief survey of the how warehousing issue differ around the world. This is the world-class warehousing. In the North America, in the East Asia, in India, in the China, in the Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Japan. South and Central America and the Europe, how the warehousing or the world-class warehousing are taking place. Here is a brief survey of the how world warehousing issues differ around the world. In case of the North America is driven by the mass consumption. Think Walmart. This enables huge economies of the scale, and indeed the trend has been for ever larger distribution center and ever accelerating rates of the product flow. As technology enables better coordination among the supply chain, the uniformity of market and of distribution infrastructure allow fewer, more centralized, and therefore larger distribution center. The Amazon.com distribution center shown in figure 1 is typically one level with the conveyors and the sortation equipment, but little other significant automation. Such warehouses are generally built in the countryside surrounding major metropolitan area, so that the land is the cheap, but there is the still ready to assess the market. The fairly high cost of the labor are held down by the somewhat constant immigration into the US and the Canada. In case of the East Asia, business in Asia has traditionally been based on the personal relationship and less on the computational model. Because of this tradition, data is not robust and not only widely available. Consequently, the opportunity to improve operation by science are not fully developed at present. In general, the most active economic area are separated by the lots of the water, which means lots of the product conveyed by air or the ship. For both air and sea cargo, the large fixed cost increase incentive to consolidate period. Consequently, one expects to see the emergence of the strong religion hubs such as the Singapore and the Hong Kong to support the consolidation. In India, like many developing countries, has both inexpensive land and low labor cost. Capital costs are relatively high in relation to the cost of the labor, and so there is less pressure to install the specialist storage, even the pallet track. And because labor costs are low, there is less incentive to increase efficiency. For example, it is not an attractive proposition to reduce the labor cost by picking from the floor. The labor saving cannot justify the cost of the rake. In addition, warehouses in India distribute mainly to the local economy and so supply a market that is not wealthy. Consequently, the SKU are not likely to be high cost item, and so there is not much saving available from the reducing inventory by the precise timing. Consequently, information technology cannot generate much saving. Finally, inefficiency in the transport make India in effect a collection of the smaller markets. These inefficiencies include the physical, such as roads in less than ideal condition, as well as the administrative. For example, each state within India levies custom duty on freight transported across the border. This slows interstate commerce and increase the export. Such factors increase the cost of the transportation and so favor a strategy of having more smaller distribution center rather than fewer larger ones, where the volume of the activity better justify capital investment. In case of the China, a distinctive feature of the legislative scene in China is seemingly boundless supply of the very low cost of the labor together with relatively inexpensive land. Consequently, warehouses tend to be large, low building as in the North America, but with the some striking offenses. For example, it is not usual as to this writing to find a warehouses of the 250,000 square feet with a single forklift truck. The reason is that equipment is expensive, but labor is the cheap. Despite cheap labor, China does not have capital intensive warehouse with the latest information technology and storage equipment. Such warehouses are most likely devoted to the distribution of the high value goods for the export. Because such goods, such as the consumer electronics, have high value and short life cycle, the warehouses can justify their equipment by substantially reduction in the inventory cost. The different vary cost in the US and China sometimes leads to the behavior that makes sense locally but make the supply chain inefficient. For example, the Home Depot receives some Chinese built product at the import distribution center in Georgia, USA. The shipping department in the warehouse in China depalletize freight in order to pack each trailer as tightly as possible for the drive to the seaport. Thus, an expenditure of the relatively cheap labor will reduce the relatively significant cost of the equipment and the transportation. But this means the product arrives in the US as loose cartons in the containers, and so the Home Depot must depalletize the cartons before storage in deep drive in the pallet rack, and most of it shortly after the be depalletized once more when it is picked as cartons for the shipment of the stores. Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan. Some economic powers such as Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong suffer from the limited space, so land is the more expensive than the elsewhere. Consequently, many of the warehouses are high-rise, such as shown in the figure 3. This is shown in the figure 3 in the Singapore. Their multi-story warehouses are common in the Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, where land is expensive. Suffer from the limited space, so land is more expensive than the elsewhere. Consequently, many of the warehouses are of the high rise, such as shown in the figure 3. In addition, as first world economy, labor in these places is expensive, and so warehouses here are some more likely to be automated. Freight elevators are likely to be bottlenecks to material flow in these facilities. Space containers have led to an interesting type of the warehouse in Hong Kong and in Singapore, a multi-floor facility with no automation or elevators, but instead a spiral truck ramp so that the trailers may be docked at any floor. In effect, each floor becomes a ground floor, but the cost is that the significant land area determined in part by turning radius of a truck is lost to the ramp and available for storage. That storage space must be recomplete up and above. This design is clever and efficient way of the using space if this floor is occupied by an independent tenant. But one must be careful if some tenant occupies multiple floors, for then it may become necessary to settle tracks among the floors. For example, a multi-story warehouse with the spiral ramp would be unsuitable as a local distribution center. Trailers departing with the small shipment for many customers must be loaded in reverse sequence of delivery to avoid double handling. But since the load may not match the layout of the product among the floor, this could require much settling of the tailor among the floors to load. Similarly, this might be an inefficient warehouse in which to receive shipments of the diverse items that may be stored on different floors, because rear entry tailors restrict the sequence in which the freight can be assessed. A tailor may have settled among the floors to deliver all the freight to the appropriate place. Alternatively, the tailor would have to be loaded to match the allocation of the product among the floors at the warehouse. In either case, extra work is required. Claims to be among the first with the spiral truck ramp. East Asia. The main function of their Singapore facility is storage. It receives truckloads of the product from the seaport or the factory in Malaysia and stores it for the subsequent distribution to the factory within the Singapore. Thus, a typical trailer load, either inbound or outbound, or is full of the pallet of a single SKU, and so routing between the floor is not an issue. Over 50% of the product movement through this facility is by the container. The warehouse is of the 5-story tall, with the first 4 floors used for the warehousing and the 5th floor occupied by the administration. Some of the floors are leased out to other company, and trucks to those warehouses are unlikely to visit other floors. Each floor has 4 docks, each of which can be accommodated a 45-foot trailer. The facility typically handles about 100 trailers in an 8-hour day. About 30% of the space of the facility is consumed by the spiral ramp. Some of the ramp space is reclaimed for warehouse use, as the hollow core of the ramp is used for the miscellaneous handling of the product. In fact, the tailors of the spiral ramp function as an automated storage and the retrieval system. The point of this design is to get a space utilization of building high storage, but to avoid installing automation, which can be a risky investment because inflexible. It also enables the owner to rent the floor of the different tenants. Even simple automation such as a freight elevator can be problematically because it is subject to the queues and the congestion, at least when delivery are unscheduled, as they would be if different tenants occupy the facility. The spiral ramp can be simultaneously support more than 4 trucks traveling in its direction. If you take bank at least 8 elevators accomplish the same. In addition, the elevator requires maintenance, which is not the case for the spiral ramp. Finally, it must be observed that the most significant saving may be the reduction in the land requirement. For example, if one imagines that the 7 kilometers facility in the Singapore puts 3 warehouses in the spaces of the 1.5, the land saving may be enough to pay for the cost of the building. Independently, Hong Kong and Singapore makes an interesting comparison. Both are premier logistics hubs due to the splendid harbors, airports, and IT infrastructure, but they serve different purposes. Singapore is a point of the transshipment for the much manufacturing living Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, other Asian nations, and so it must be highly attended to the challenges of the handling international freight. Relatively little of it says in the Singapore, instead freight is likely to arrive from one country, receive value-added processing, and be forwarded to another country. On the other hand, Hong Kong acts primarily as a logistic hub for the manufactured goods leaving China. Consequently, it receives goods from some country and frequently by truck or train, but dispatches them overseas by ship or the air. South and the central area, no data robust is there. Relatively low labor cost, the higher in the China and the Southeast Asia. Developing markets, especially in Brazil, despite competition from the Asia, Mexico can get product quickly to market in the US, and so it continues to grow a manufacturer. In case of the Europe, Warehouses in Europe, especially in Germany and France, are shaped by the relatively high labor cost, inflexibility of the workforce. These facts push designers to find engineering solution rather than social solution to the logistic challenges. For example, there is the greater inclination to use the automation than incorporate facility in the North America. In the past, the economies of the Europe were separate. More recently, the economy are integrating into a common market, which will create economies of the scale, which will likely to lead larger warehouses. However, urban area, many of which have grown out of the ancient towns, will still present challenges to the efficient flow of the product. This is the world-class warehouses. In the warehouses in the different zone, how warehouses are compared here around the world. World-class warehouses in the North America, East Asia, India, China, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan, they are all compared. South Central Asia and the Europe. ये वर्ल्ड क्लास वेयर हाउसिंग आर कंपेयर्ड हियर.
हेलो सर.
हाँ बोलिए
सर. अटेंडेंस सर ना 120 होने वाला है.
हाँ अटेंडेंस ले लेते हैं.
हाँ जी सर.
आकर्ष झा इज प्रेजेंट. अनुराग कुमार इज प्रेजेंट.
यस सर प्रेजेंट.
कपिल गर्ग इज प्रेजेंट.
यस सर.
मसाद अली इज प्रेजेंट.
यस सर. सर आपने कल बीच क्लास में चले गए थे सर, कल की लगाई थी?
कल नहीं, फिर दोबारा तो शुरू किया था ना मैंने. कल 2 सेशन था ना, तो बीच में वो गैप दे दिया था, फिर शुरू तो किया था मैंने.
सर एक्चुअली में कल मेरा एक इंटरव्यू था, तो मतलब एग्जाम था, तो कल की अटेंडेंस लगा दी.
अच्छा क्या नाम है आपका?
लगा हुआ है भाई हमारा अटेंडेंस. सर को बोल दिया था मैंने. मशहद सर. मशहद.
हाँ हाँ मशहद जी अली का लग गया है. संपत शंकु जी लग गया है, वो बोल दिए थे उन्होंने. शहादुर रहमान जी
प्रेजेंट सर.
शकील हसन जी. श्रेया आनंद जी.
यस सर प्रेजेंट.
विघ्नेश्वरन बी.
प्रेजेंट सर.
फिर से मैं आपको अटेंडेंस बता देता हूं. आकर्ष झा प्रेजेंट, अनुराग कुमार जी प्रेजेंट, कपिल गर्ग इज प्रेजेंट, मसद अली जी प्रेजेंट, संपुत शंकु जी प्रेजेंट, शाहदुर रहमान इज प्रेजेंट, शकील हसन इज प्रेजेंट, श्रेया आनंद जी प्रेजेंट, विघ्नेश्वरन बी इज प्रेजेंट. है ना, ये आपके 9 प्रेजेंट है आज. यही है. Then next topic is the problems occurring in the planning. What are the problems that are occurring in the case of the planning? Here, one of the case of the GAIL is shown here. Gas Authority of India Limited. GAIL India, which has had a monopoly in the gas transmission sector, is said to see some tough competition in the coming days. While Reliance is poised to get into the trunk pipeline segment, British Gas is trying to get into the city gas distributor sector. GAIL's new chairman shares his thoughts on how he plans to take the company ahead. What are GAIL's main priority? Going by its business strategy, the focus area are gas sourcing, transmission, marketing, processing, petrochemicals, globalization, and city gas distribution. We are focusing on sourcing of the gas from the indigenous finds and through LNG and the cross-border pipeline. We intend to develop the gas market by extending our gas grid from the kilometer to the 10,000 kilometer. The city gas project is expected to rise from 5 to 6 to 45 by end of the 11th 5-year plan. What are the GAIL's plan for acquiring and exploration of the production? Company about GAIL has planned to strengthen its exploration and the production activity. To become a formidable company, GAIL is exploring option. Acquiring an EAP company is one of such options. What are your capex plans and how do you plan to fund it? GAIL's budget capex plan financial is this crore. This include capital expenditure of crore on pipeline and other projects and crore on the petrochemical project. This will be funded through internal reserves. What are your plans on city gas distribution? Will GAIL continue with its plan on fuel management? We have already established the business successfully in the Mumbai, Delhi, Vadodara, Vijayawada, Agra, Lucknow, and Kanpur. Till date, GAIL has formed 8 joint venture companies to implement city gas project. The projects have had an impact on the pollution level. GAIL is in the process of forming a state-wide joint venture with oil marketing company to implement city gas project in the Rajasthan. These are the planning of the GAIL. What are the GAIL's plan to diversify into telecom and what is the current status? GAILtel, the telecom service of the arm of the GAIL, offers telecom services commercially to the lead telecom operators across India. GAILtel owns and operates approximately 13,000 route kilometers of the fiber optic network. GAIL is evaluating various options to work out its future growth plan. International mission of the ISER. The ISER group is looking to set up its global operation by entering the riskier but the profitable market of the Africa, Eastern Europe, and the Middle East. In its core business of the steel, the ISER group is also looking at a proposal to acquire an integrated steel plant in the Eastern Europe. The group has also announced its intention of setting up the greenfield steel manufacturing operation in Sharjah, Qatar, and Iran. It has plans to set up 50-50 joint venture with the state-owned Qatar Steel Company from a 1.5 billion ton steel among the 1 billion rolling plant or the outskirts of the Sharjah, another ton steel plant in the Iran, according to the recent ISER newsletter. Even the Indonesia branch of the ISER, where the group runs as a cold rolling a complex, is expected to look for the merger and acquisition opportunity in the region. Then what are the problems in the planning? We have seen how planning is essential for the business organization. It is difficult to manage operation without formal planning. It is important for organization to move towards achieving the goal. But we have often seen in our daily lives also that things don't always go according to the plan. Unforeseen events and changes, rise in cost and prices, environmental changes, and the government. Planning leads to the rigidity. In an organization, a well-defined plan is drawn up with the specific goals to be achieved within a specific time frame. These plans then decide the future course of action, and manager may not be in a position to change it. This kind of the rigidity in plan may create difficulty. Managers need to be given some flexibility to able to cope with the changed circumstances. Following a pre-decided plan, when the circumstances have changed, may not turn out to be in the organization interest. Planning may not work in the dynamic environment. The business environment is the dynamic, nothing is the constant. The environment consists of a number of the dimensions: economic, political, physical, legal, and social dimensions. The organization has to constantly adapt itself changes. It becomes difficult to accurately assess future trends in the environment if economic policy are modified for political conditions in the country are not stable or there is a natural calamity. Competition in the market can be also upset financial plan. Sales target may have to be revised, and accordingly, case budgets also needs to be modified since they are based on the sales figure. Planning cannot be foresee everything, and thus there may be the obstacle to the effective planning. Planning reduces creativity. Planning is an activity which is done by the top management. Usually the rest of the member just implement this plan. As a consequence, middle management and other decision makers are neither allowed to deviate from the plans, nor they are permitted to act on their plan. Thus, much of the initiative or creativity inherent in them also get lost or reduced. Most of the time, employees don't even attempt to formulate plan. They only carry out orders. Thus, planning in a way reduces creativity since people tend to think along the same lines as others. There is nothing new or innovative. Planning involves huge cost. When plans are drawn up, huge costs are involved in their formulation. These may be in terms of the time and money. For example, checking accuracy of fact and involve lot of the time. Detailed plan require scientific calculation of the certain facts and the figure. The cost incurred in some times may not justify the benefit derived from the plan. There are a number of the incidental costs as well, like expenses on the boardroom meeting, discussion with the professional experts, and the preliminary investigation to find out the visibility of the plan. Planning is a time-consuming process. Sometimes plan to be drawn up to take so much time that there is no much time left for their implementation. Planning does not guarantee success. The success of an enterprise is possible only when plans are properly drawn up and implemented. Any plan needs to be translated into action or it becomes meaningless. Managers have a tendency to rely on the previously tried and tested successful plan. It is not always true that just because a plan has worked before, it will work again. Besides, there are so many other unknown factors to be considered. This kind of the complicancy and the false sense of the security may actually lead to the failure instead of the success. However, despite its limitation, planning is not a useless exercise. It is a tool to be used with the caution. It provides a base for the analyzing future course of action, but it is not solution for all problems. Hence, these are the 6 problems related occurring in the planning. Planning leads to the rigidity. When you will do the planning, you are rigid to do according to the plan. Hence, the planning leads to the rigidity. Planning may not work in the dynamic environment. If the dynamic environment is there, then the planning is difficult. If the number of the dimensions, economic, political, physical, legal, and the social dimensions are there, then the planning is difficult. If the dynamic environment is there, then the planning is difficult. Planning reduces creativity. Planning involves huge cost. Planning is a time-consuming process. Planning does not guarantee success. These are the problems related to the planning, and today is the end of the chapter, and today is the end of the session. Okay, thank you.